Hello and welcome everyone. I am Janka Palček, an intuitive psychologist with a deep love for working with consciousness and conscious services. My work bridges psychology, intuition, and advanced inner technologies that help people return to their core clarity, power, and alignment. Today I'm truly excited to welcome my guest Elasa Tiernan, someone I personally experience as a very advanced spiritual teacher and guide. In a relatively short lifetime, she has written around 150 books and created highly sophisticated tools for inner transformation. One of them is Akashic Pro, an advanced technology designed to transform perception, emotional states, and consciousness itself. Elasa teaches advanced spiritual technologies that go far beyond theory. They're practical, precise, and deeply effective. I have personally applied many of her methods, which is why this conversation matters to me. Today we will explore how those technologies work, why they are so powerful, and what becomes possible when consciousness is approached with clarity, precision, and depth. So, Elasa, tell us, how is it to be so awesome?
It's great. And everyone should try it. I was just saying that 2026 is the year where everyone realizes being delusional is the way reality is created, and not in a delusional way that we used to understand delusional as far as like crazy in psychology, and more of the sense that you're delusionally allowing yourself to program your present by trusting that you have to occupy this delusional identity and frequency and version of yourself before it actually can arrive, and until, more importantly, the reality around you can particleize, the universe can bend and start to shift and show you just how amazing you are because you're holding that frequency. So yeah, I think everybody is amazing, and if we all can occupy that, like, this is going to be a powerful year of really transformation for humanity.
Absolutely, absolutely. I agree. And I think that is also why our path met, because we have very similar view, even if we have different methods and approaches and presence. But we both believe and take steps to really apply whatever comes from higher consciousness. And I would say that it is amazing gift to be really aligned with this powerful presence and being able to actually pass it on others, even if they don't understand maybe all words. Maybe it can be
Yeah.
far too big, to think about, oh, what do you mean, my reality can just meld and I can create another one. So if you would explain it to somebody who, never heard advanced spirituality, because obviously people who listen to me or you, they actually work with manifestation, with self-love. They know a lot about consciousness. But if you would have to really give somebody experience of what does it mean to have, perception of something which is limiting, and now how it is in your perception, if you're in your experience, to dismantle it and create a big one.
Yeah. It's bringing me like an example of, movie stars having to play a character, and that if they didn't play that character well, we wouldn't believe it. We wouldn't really believe the movie. I'd call it low budget. Like, I could start, like, I can sense a movie's low budget, or the actors
Mhm.
aren't really, pulling in that character, and I'll switch the channel. But if it's a good movie and these actors really are embodying the characters they're playing, I believe it. And so that would be like, if I'm the watcher, it's like I'm the universe and I believe it, and I start folding in and believing that, character. And we reverse that, when I embody the character, the new character, the version of me that I know that I long to be, And I work from that. So just like an actor would have to put on that character that might not be their true self or who they are, their identity, but they're going to play a billionaire, then they need to like dress like the billionaire. They need to walk like the billionaire, speak like the billionaire. What does that even mean? And that'll be personal to everybody. Obviously, it would mean that you have financial freedom. Obviously, you would feel more at ease around topics like money or survival or things like that. So it's kind of the same thing with this, understanding what think people like Neville Goddard were trying to teach people in 100 years ago, um, that we have to assume the law of assumption. We have to assume as if we have to, really believe that we are this new identity. Um, and so, that's kind of like the first example that really shows up when you ask that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like even another one showing me, thinking about children and that how they, use their imagination and make believe. Um, you kind of have to put on that type of innocence again and play
Mm-hmm.
and allow yourself just to play like you're a child playing make believe and you're in the sand, and you're like, this is my new room, and you draw on the sand with a line. I used to do that as a child. And
Mm-hmm.
I have my cousins around me, and this is where your place is.
Mm-hmm.
um
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I like that. I like that. Recently, I heard also very good example. As if you go to cinema and you are very, logical, you see things, so you believe things. If you don't see, you doubt. Even if you want to believe, I know a lot of people who uh, try to have faith. Like they say, I believe, but it is not really embodied. That faith isn't really living through. So maybe that is also part of it, that we have to really embody something like that, like everything is really possible. And so you go to cinema and you are rational, but you are going to see Avengers movie, and Avengers movie are about guy gets really angry and now he turns into green big monster hook, and he goes and he damages whole New York. So it's the same. You take your perception, you take your ego, and sort of you put it aside. Otherwise, you wouldn't enjoy movie. Otherwise, you wouldn't even go there. So it's
Right.
like you put your perception of normality aside, and that is giving you space for a moment. Really enjoy crazy movie, and then you go out and you say, "Ah, it was fun," and you get on with your business, with your life. So I think this is very similar, and I would also say that for us who really, really manifest, amazing things. I heard you also, the houses you manifested. I did the same. Like those were very surreal situations which came my way based on visualization, based on, okay, like this is what I choose. And even if I didn't understand really or didn't have my consciousness, around it, but I knew it is happening to me. Like I would visualize something, it would be like bang, and like it will come very
Yeah.
easily. But now, of course, we are stepping, I would say, especially women, we are stepping
Mhm.
into that zone, into that time where we are going to manifest and create in the big, which means we really have to go, quote unquote, through lobotomy and really learn to ignore reality
Yes.
in order to really see, believe, and keep on that track. Because when we don't, that is when we don't manifest.
Yes. We have to pay no attention to the outer circumstances until the outer circumstances literally start particleizing the reality that we know that we're holding the new identity. And, I dreamt with you and several others last night. And, that was the biggest thing that I noticed is that I'll share the dream at a level. Um, I woke up like lucidly within the dream with like massive pressure. And I was like, what is going on? And I knew I needed to like do some breathing and literally imagine myself rising, as well as I'll like push up over my hand with my hands. But knew I had to rise up really high. And I started rising up really high and I saw Yeshua. And I was like, hey, Yeshua, like, what is up? And he's like, look, I need you to, get a few people around you to burst through some layers. And so I said, okay, well, let's go ahead. I'm like, why are we doing this? And they said, because you all really have to let go of these outdated versions of reality around you. Like you have to stop buying into them. So I did a bit of bursting through, and then I got to my own just like God consciousness. And I was like, what else? And they're like, keep going. Like all the perceptions that you have that others have of you, you need to get rid of those so that you literally can be so malleable and beyond what you even think you are, so fluid. And I kept turning into like blob of like plasma, blue plasma. And then in the other direction, get rid of all the perceptions that you have that you think others have of you. So in both directions, what others, literally the other souls have of me, and then what I perceive that they would have of me. And so I was bursting through that. And then finally I got so high, so liquid, so fluid. And it was like, God was like, yeah, this is it. Now you can actually allow for these new experiences, even more so of the new identity. And God's consciousness was like, the identity you're thinking is not even fixed at all. You have to realize it's not like, oh, for the next 10 years, you're going to be this new version of Elasa that, is multimillionaire best-selling author. No, it's every moment. I need you to be so wild and unpredictable that you don't even recognize yourself each moment. Like, I need you to just start bursting through the seams of all of this. So, yeah.
Yeah, I could go with many, many topics, what you just said, because I find it fascinating, and I always did, how with some people you just go and you deal with the same things. It's like, if I speak with you and you will tell me what you were dealing with 1 week or 2 weeks, if you will remember, because God knows we do so much.
Yeah.
But it would be the same, this is what exactly I was now dealing, but different ways.
Yeah.
With projections, that I would literally sense my biofield fulfilling projections of others. And that was for me really annoying, because obviously, we want to have that freedom. And that's the basic freedom, that you really sense your space, that you sense your own thoughts, your own feelings. But if you have some programs, which I did because I had quite challenging childhood, and I had some lifetimes when I was really working with God consciousness and so on and so on, and I was tortured a few times with high quality tools. So, so
we can laugh now.
Exactly, we can laugh now. So it is incredible when you are born and you get born into certain environment, certain consciousness. And now I was leaving messages to all of my American friends, and everybody who is in higher consciousness places. I was like, what I have to deal with here? Yeah, because it literally pulled me from UK, where is like what, 70, 80 points of consciousness higher, which means everything is more peaceful. Like there are not such a blockages and so on and so on. And of course, America is 100 points higher. Not each state, but it is big difference. So So, what I have to transmute, and that's the same, I would wake up during night and now I like pain everywhere, and emotionally, it's not yours.
Right.
So, you are transmuting it and taking it to purity for everybody who actually doesn't know you are doing it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it is, I think, incredible. But if we go to dreams, it is interesting what, like, I have few people coming to me now who are talking about dreams, like what they do in dreams. And I remember we had maybe 2 years ago or so, when we were in touch, we record messages, because we are in different time zones, and so it would be hilarious because I would be leaving you the same message as you were leaving me, because we met in dream and we were clearing or doing some stuff in different realms. And then when we were getting back to consciousness or waking up, then we had both message, remind me this. And then we woke up and we left the same message. So it was on one side hilarious, on another amazing, and on for people who don't read consciousness, or it can sound like science fiction, but it happened to us so many times, and also with others. So tell me, do people see what is happening? Like, do you have more people who are in that level of consciousness that they are aware of it? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, since we've had a brick and mortar center for 20 years or so,
Mm-hmm.
definitely people come to there who are all like us in a sense, at least on the verge or something, or they're wondering. So yeah, it's definitely been, for me, it's just, I'm really grateful to have the tribe of people who show up. I had a woman show up today, and they show up at the right time. They show up, some of them with the same story. I couldn't get here until now, or they'll I was telling the woman who came today, because that was her story, I couldn't get here till now. I've been circling this place for years. And she's like, I literally drove by a couple days ago and said I have to get in there. But some people will not be able to find it on the map. Like, it will disappear off their GPS, or it will drive them in circles. And they'll call and say, I can't find it. Like, what's happening? And it's very obvious in the middle of a town, like downtown. But frequency wise, if someone wasn't ready, they couldn't find it. And when they are, it's like, there it is. So I'm tying that in as well to what we just talked about, the dreams, because it seems sci-fi, yes. However, since 2020, right, the new vision we can all have has now given us more of an ability to have, like, I feel like, telepathy, people having visions of each other, people seeing things that like are just kind of a mirage behind their two eyes, dreaming together has become more easy, I feel, because people had to, like, cave and go in and let go of like what they thought was normal. So we're really at this really precipice of a new era where I feel, the no time piece, where meaning everything's happening at once, everything's present and right now. And the ability for us to dream together and vision quest together in the waking day, daydreaming, is going to be more apparent than ever, especially, I'll add a third in there, because of quantum mechanics being so talked about now, quantum physics and non-locality.
See,
Yeah.
see, and this is dear listener, telepathy, because this was what I was exactly thinking when you will finish your uh, message. Then I wanted you to mention literally quantum physics, what it means,
Yeah.
what it means to jump from one parallel to another, and this is now proven scientifically.
Yeah.
And I think it is amazing that, it's like when just simple thing, you lose your pen, you can't find it, right? And, you walk all over the house, then you give up after 30 minutes, let's say, and then you look and it's literally there, right? So
Another
the
dimension.
so I think it's the same as with your house, that yes, sometimes people can be ready at some point, at some moment. For example, people meditate. This was happening to me often, actually. But I had programs that I can't be using my powers for my own benefits, right? So when I would do therapies or when I would be working with people, my energy, my powers would really rise, and I would be able to do a lot for them. So let's say I would go to power 100, and then I would finish and I would go to power 50. And I think this is the same with when people searched for you. When they were in that state 100, they were like, oh, I'm definitely going. Then they're searching. Let's say they drive and they get angry because somebody is, annoying them on the street, on the car, in car. And then their energy drops and immediately they can't find it. So I would say this is also time we live in, that we have to aim to stay high 24/7.
Yeah, for sure. And then stay present, right? And stay, keep our energy so precious. Our time and energy, our thoughts are so precious that we have to keep an eye on them, so that, because that's driving the reality, that's driving literally what is in front of us is being projected by us from the sum total of our thoughts, feelings, and emotions. And even just, our again, the identity we're holding. So you drop identity, you have a low self-thought about self, or, oh, that's not going to happen, or this always happens. And then you're then projecting a parallel lower timeline, or a lower, probability, because you just dropped. And then you can go up quickly. For me, if I close my eyes, I'll close my eyes, or I'll take a nap, or I'll take a walk, and then I can jump back into a higher probability if I just give my nervous system a time to regulate and then re-encode what's going to be in front of me.
So I was practicing now one tool which you recommended on Facebook, and it is breathing through spine up. And there is obviously a lot of exercises considering pardon
The ascended breath, yeah,
like breath, but when it is linked with vision, pulling, and then like every time I get some tool somewhere,
yeah,
then I melt it into my own. But as I was, I just heard how you did it, and obviously, I saw it in your consciousness when you were talking about, because you do it, so you have it activated in your consciousness. And this is what I would like people to really acknowledge, how big deal it is if you listen, see, and follow up immediately when somebody is talking about it, for example, on Facebook, YouTube, doesn't matter, because then your consciousness immediately learns that. Like, I did it once with you because I just saw you, how you did it, and before I studied also with Dispenza, right? And he does something similar, but it is more workout, it's like you have to push somewhere, pull, and yeah, you were just like, yeah, so you just breathe, through your spine up to your brain, and and as I was watching you, I just saw your little kundalini, the fluid, and it was going up. So I was like, interesting. So I watched it 3 times, and I did it with you, And then, I didn't need it to watch it anymore because I had it active. And then I would just like, now I'm practicing it, because I do different methods, obviously, also with nervous system, breathing, yada yada, visualization. But like I would do it that I would pull up energy and then I would hold it and I would spread that frequencies, that let's say Kundalini energy, blah blah. I would just spread it into all chakras, like 12 chakras, and then I would take it into cells, into nervous system, and then I would just let it go through the front down. And so I think it is amazing how fast now we can change, where we are, what we really can manifest. And I would like to emphasize also for everybody that we change identity or life or our embodiment and experience only if we are challenged. And therefore, when we are able to see the challenge, for example, you want to really rise your income, be ready that you will go into some loss, some troubles, because that is how you will cross it. Cross your old self, your old habit. And
it's that layer we were doing in Dreamtime, right? That it was like a caked layer, and it was perceptions as well as it might, mainly we're dealing with subconscious limiting beliefs that the old identity is holding in place. And you have, like, I call them thresholds. You'll reach a threshold where if you're jumping into a new identity, that the old will still have that like grip, that layer that you have to burst through. So it might seem like a challenge or something, just to see if you can actually maintain and be the new self that perseveres. Keep going though. Yeah.
And I would say that really what matters is momentum. It's I work with psychosomatics, and so I learned for example, to go through emotion and then stay when it is in that peak. But you have to stay particular way. It doesn't work, like there is a lot of people who is now talking about psychosomatics, like, everybody is reading book and they think they're professional now, who is helping people because they help them to cry. While obviously it's not absolutely about crying, it's about taking them to right state and keeping them in right state for the moment of dissolution, for like to that moment when it goes through 0 point and it just disappears. It's like poof. And then they go through threshold. So psychosomatic is one thing that you learn, but I had very beautiful experience when they taught me this. That was maybe 15 years ago, and as I was living in UK, then I had this garden with beautiful roses, and every morning, every evening, if I was passing them, I take moment to smell them. Like I would never pass without smelling roses. Everybody, was smiling when they saw me, but good for us. We all had a good time. So, but I had this moment when I smelled the rose and I stayed with it. And then I heard Spirit telling me, now make that experience longer. So I would have that state of that joy when I smell a rose, and I would not let myself to start thinking about, oh, I should now go because I'm going to work. So I would just make that moment of that joy from smell of rose, I would make it just a second longer, then 2 seconds longer, another day. And then eventually I could be walking and I would have, let's say, bad mood. So I would just imagine the smell of rose. And I would be able to go and stay in that state. And I think this is something that people can practice in order to stay in these painful challenges. Yeah, I want to just name it for people because it is painful, like if we have to go through threshold, it sucks, let's be honest, but because obviously bigger jump we will do, bigger pain we have to experience.
Yeah. Yep. And that's because there's that much, also that much energy is held in weight, in etheric weight, and light, and because the information in the particle of light is encoded with that moment that probably programmed it, that initial pain, misunderstanding, misidentification. And when we're bursting through that, like we're literally undoing that. And that's when the emotion starts to unwind from the particle, and the information starts to unwind. And then all that energy is freed up. And if we want it to actually be collected, reclaimed, to be used in the new identity, we have to be able to sustain a new state from like neutrality. And then I love that. It's almost like you're building out a selection base, a selection pool of states to tap into, right? So like the rose, you'd be like, oh, wait, rose, for me, it might be like, everything works in my favor. Everything, like maybe it's a statement that I've worked in as a part of my selection pool, that I'm going to grab that frequency to hold that state and help me move through that threshold, and know that, be super conscious, aware that, okay, yes, this is painful. Yes, I'm re-experiencing this again, but I know that I've been working on this. I know I'm self-aware enough. This is like people doing work with us. They become self-aware enough to go, she said this might happen. Wait, this is, I'm reliving this to a level, but I can make it through. I'm going to bring up the rose. And then we can literally jump into a new bandwidth.
Yep. Yeah. Absolutely. And I would say important is to practice when it is easy. There is not issue yet. It's like, yeah, it's like, some people are like, well, it doesn't work, really. So did you just start practice when you went for that exam? Well,
Yeah,
let me tell you.
You got to
Yeah?
role play it,
Yeah, this is perfect. Yeah, role playing. I love doing it with people, especially when they are having problem to deal with their children, right? Because these days there is this friendly style behavior with our children, which is great. However, there is no child the same like another child, and what is okay with one child doesn't work with another child. And I think when parent is conscious, it's something different. But when you have let's say
even
somebody
when they're conscious, because
yeah
it's triggering that age of the parent. Even if they're super conscious, the child is 13, then it's triggering a 13-year-old self in parent. Yeah.
I see you know what you are talking about.
Oh,
So
I do.
when you said role playing, I find it fascinating when, for example, mother is complaining about child, and the child doesn't do, when she's having really, great idea, it's very important, it has to be done, right? Because there are certain things which have to be done, right? Like it's cold, okay, you are not leaving house without warm clothes. End of story. Yeah, because I will be not then with you at home for a week till you are, getting better. So, but you say to that mom, okay, so tell me, how do you say it to your child? And they start, well, Zlatko, darling, it is, well, this problem. And of course, now I'm exaggerating, but it is, quite similar. And when I do little role play with them, when I show them, okay, this is the voice, this is the tone, this is the position of body, this is the way you look somebody into eye, and you get their attention and so on, and you are strong but kind. Yeah, because if you are too strong but not kind, it will not work. And if you are too kind but not strong, it also will not work. So it's somewhere in the middle. But to me, it is incredible to see this parent when they do a little bit of role play, and I say her the way she told me. She's like, is this how I sound when I do that?
So yeah, from all directions, yeah.
Yeah.
Both directions.
Yeah, but I think this is something very, very similar. It's very similar because if you are not self-aware of how do I express myself, how do I ask Cosmos, it's like, also I heard you saying, stop begging. You have to command something. So tell us something about it, because I think that is now also a big part of change we need to go through. That it's not arrogance, that it's not something that you are asking too much or, inappropriate, but it is about claiming your power and communicating from there. So tell us, how do you see it?
It's the new identity. Once you fully have embodied the new version, the true version, I say new, but it's the true version, the all-powerful, the almighty, and you really are embodying that. You're living in that new state of existence more often than not. You'll be able to command. You'll be able to say, I speak from authorship, and this is what's happening today. And this is effective immediately. And anything that does not support this is inactive right now. And I move on with my day. If I say that and I feel quivery, or I feel like I don't believe myself, I feel like I don't have permission to even be commanding or speaking that way, or maybe this will happen, or I'm checking all day. Is this shifting to looking for evidence? Then I know I'm not really embodying this next version of me, or this true version of me at this, whatever the topic is, and I may need to do more rehearsal, more practice, like we're talking about, and really find what the dream I had with you last night, really find again, where am I still allowing others to have a hold over how I am, like that I am not allowed to change, that I'm not allowed to be the new version. I'm still allowing my mother or father or cousins or aunts to view me a certain way, or old clients and then I feel like an imposter to change and to know that I can speak in these commanding ways. That means I'm still allowing those beliefs of limit and others' perceptions, or my own perception of small self, that I'm allowing that to rule the life that I'll never get to have the true life that I want to live, because that literally is holding me down into the small, limited version, old identity. And so that's when I know I still need to, or clients, still need to do the inner work, still need to regain authority over who they really are, that they too are God. God and I are one. Source and I are one. They need to probably demolish or dissolve out of any, programs, possibly religions, whatever it is that's keeping them feeling like they are subservient, or they aren't allowed to project their reality how they want it. You're already projecting everything in front of us. I am the projector. I'm literally creating this scene in front of me. It's coming from me, through me, by me. And yes, God, consciousness, source light, it's, from the beginning, the one is pouring in. So this is why it's such a powerful time to be alive, because people are realizing how reality is actually created. And it's going to give a lot of people more permission to realize that, you know, they're not being, uh, I don't know, big headed or, you know, all ego that they're going to have this best life. No, that's just the way the whole game is played.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I would say it is again the same as talking to child. You have to be strong yet kind. And that's the same with commanding, right? Because it's not pure arrogance, like, and
No.
this is, yeah, exactly. Like it's, yeah. And like when we get that right point, you can tell it works. And it's the same, it's the same as, for example, when somebody is talking down to you, right? I remember it happened to me. It was Thursday, 15 years ago. It's the same. We show what yes and what no, right? And how do we show it? We don't show it by begging, by even negotiating. And now it's like we are over even with negotiation, right? Those are things which were in that place for us to move to that different experience of life. But I would say that when we are able to reach that point of that, it's like link with true consciousness and self-confidence. And I would also say it is big massive part of work with first chakras. It's
Yeah.
like earth
Safety.
chakra, yeah,
Yeah.
like yesterday
Self
when
love.
yeah, yeah. Yesterday, when we spoke a little bit about this dream or dream, it was more work during night. I would say it
Yeah.
because it was more like
Lucid.
remote viewing or meeting in different realm. Then it was interesting, when you reflected or you filled up, you were going after heart, but then I felt like, oh, okay, and not like there is something like I didn't feel comfortable. But it was funny because you got it. I gave you mirror and you got it, and then you just automatically started to pour energy into my third chakra,
Yeah.
and it was coming from cosmos, and then it was like third, and then I could feel like it was going to second, first, and then to earth. But I would sense in each chakra what is program still there that was sort of not letting me to move up. And then I would go, and Earth Star was interesting. Like it was literally shaking that it's not safe to be on Earth. So those are things which I guess we both would recommend people to look, because it's very popular. People saying that, oh, somebody who can see energies, and we can do many things. That people saying that, oh, they must be still playing with those chakras. Contrary, I would say. I would say, like, I never really paid attention to third eye. Like never, like never. And like, especially these last few months, I would say that those basic chakras, those first earthly chakras, are for me big friends, I would say, because I really feel that change of my relation to life on earth, to really embodiment of, or bringing really heaven on earth.
Yes. And that's what it is. I've been having the same, I feel like people like you and I, and maybe people are going to watch this, where you feel like you keep meeting people who you're sharing the same story, your same point of view. It's because we're up at the high point of back to the beginning point. It's like if you're the sun and you got lost and you forgot that you were the sun and you went down one of the rays, it's like we're all kind of on these rays coming back to the sun, remembering that we were actually source all along. And so if some of us are similar, we're coming back up one ray together, and it will almost, we'll mirror back to each other so strongly. This example that I like to give. But as we're coming to this next level of embodiment, I too have a similar share of, I've been feeling so like, okay, I'm in this earth. Like, I'm here. Let me really get down in it. I'm going all in. I've never showed up as much as I'm showing up in social media. It's because it's an assignment from God. Like, show up 90 days, be on there all day, get on there, for yourself, for God, I am that I am. Like, get on it. And this is the technology that's being used right now. Go all in on it and use it so that you can, show up this new level and help, like I said, these ones who are coming back up to source. But yeah, I did just notice the time. I do have to get going. Let's do it again.
For sure. Yeah.
Yay.
Ciao.